Welcome to Rice TVX and the latest episode of the Rice Crypto Show. And today, for our live stream, I am joined by the boss of the Candle Mafia, Mr. Frankie Candles. If you're one of those Candle Mafia members, make sure you smash that like button. If you're not, smash that like button. Either way, it helps other people to find these videos in a YouTube algorithm flow. Before we begin, a few quick messages from the sponsors of Rice TVX.
Start trading crypto today. Sign up for our step-by-step video series to get set up with the best trading tools, start analyzing charts, enter and exit a trade properly, and most importantly, see if crypto trading is right for you. Join us at bitlabacademy.com.
And you can always find information for the sponsors of Rice TVX, BitLab Academy, Monarch Wallet, and Presearch in every video description. Before we get into it, visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX content. You will also find my various social media links and more. You can also find Rice TVX on Odyssey and Library, where I have a full catalog of my videos, post up extra content, and share other appearances. And you can also find Rice TVX on BitChute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get this live stream started, giving everybody plenty of time to join the live stream. Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I am joined by Mr. Frankie Candles. I want to make sure I unmute you. What is going on, my friend?
I'm doing well. How you doing, Rice? I'm excited for this. Thank you for having me on, man.
Oh, no, dude, it's all good. I've been wanting to get you on for quite some time, but there's just been so much craziness going on over at Hit Network and BitBoy Crypto that we finally have been able to make this happen. And I asked you, I believe it was yesterday, it might have been the day before, if you wanted to do this live. A lot of time when we're talking about technical analysis and things like that, I think it's important to kind of do this in real time, because if I would release it in 24 hours from now, we could have a completely different market outlook.
That's right.
That's the world we're living in.
Yeah, I love doing it live. There's something about the energy of being live that I like.
No, I agree, man. I agree. Now, I definitely want to get into some like technical analysis stuff. I want to, get into some chart information. I know that's what everybody's really looking forward to, but I like to interview people. I like to get to know people. So I want to kind of find out a little bit more about, who Frankie Candles is. Like, in your words, who are you? And then I'd like you to follow up about when and why you got involved in crypto.
Yeah. So, I like to think of myself as, first and foremost, a good human being, absolute crypto fanatic, trading technical analysis nerd to the max. But yeah, man, I just, I just as far as myself, my main goal, and I talk about this on my channel a lot. I feel like I am here on this earth to help people. I knew I was going to wind up helping people in some way, and I didn't know exactly how it was going to manifest itself eventually. And then I've had many things throughout my life where I was able to help people in different ways. But once we started this YouTube channel, I was able to really share some good knowledge with people, and really get some feedback of, if I'm helping people, and if I am, how much I am actually helping. And, this YouTube channel is so special to me because it's fulfilling my greater purpose in life, which I think is to help people as much and as best as I can. So.
Well said, my friend. And I definitely encourage people, if they're not already subscribed to your YouTube channel, to make sure that they are subscribed. And I will include links for everything that we talk about on today's show, which is pretty much going to be like your Twitter account, your link tree, your spotlight page on the Hit Network website, etc. So I do appreciate everybody for tuning in. So when and why did you get involved in crypto?
So yeah, I mean, basically goes back to ever since I probably got not invested, but interested in just technical analysis and just always curious about the stock market. Even as I was a little kid, was just always fascinated by stocks. I had a neighbor that was a stockbroker, and was just always so interested in it. I've seen movies about stocks, so I was just always intrigued by stocks. From a very young age. And, once I got a little bit older, I remember when I was in high school, I was probably in about 11th grade, maybe, really started, trying to do my own type of research. It sounds weird to say now, but the internet was in a much different phase back then. There wasn't as much, readily available information, but I was hungry to learn. So I would dig up as much information as I could. And I was able to get my hands on, this is when iPhone apps were actually very new. Right. This was, God, I don't even remember the year.
How old are you?
I was probably about 17.
How old are you?
I'm 30 now.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was, probably when I was about 16, 17. I was able to get my hands on an app that was basically paper trading, which is, I know what that is now. But at the time I was like, oh, it's a stock market game. But I was able to, play around with that. I had no idea what I was doing. But I was able to just play around and learn about, different types of orders and, limit orders, market orders, just stuff like that. And I just always was interested. I do have a background in, I did go to college. I went to college for communications, and was always just interested in stocks, was always trying to self-learn or self-teach myself. And then I obviously got very gravitated towards technical analysis, which is obviously my bread and butter now. So I was always teaching myself as a young kid, and then didn't trade stocks too often. Wasn't really day trading stocks or anything. I was invested, made some money here and there, but nothing really too crazy. No day trading, no scalp trading, anything like that. But then, during 2016, 2016 was around when I got serious about crypto. Obviously prices ran up in 2017 like crazy, went up to about 20K. This was basically when I found out about crypto, and I was like, a stock market essentially that never sleeps. I couldn't think of something better. I was like, I was so into the stocks and, learning technical analysis. I hated that the stock market closed. And when I found crypto, it was open 24/7. I actually talked about this morning on the live stream on BitBoy Crypto. Found out it was open 24/7, was like a kid in a candy shop. And that's really where I started trying to learn about the technology. But again, obviously very heavily focused on the TA. And that is where, I really, really started taking things seriously. At the time, I was working as a I worked in TV, right? So I worked in TV production for a while, but was always just looking for, trying to make it, trading. And I always wanted to get into this field, right? But there was really no direct route for me to get there. So I was always just self-teaching, and, started really taking stuff seriously probably after the 2017 top at 20K. That's really when, I didn't understand, obviously I understood the technical analysis side of it and the trading side of it, but didn't understand, the cycles and how crypto is actually working. So on the way down in the 2018 bear market, I was thinking like, this thing's going to go back up any day. I didn't know that we were going into, a multi-year bear market. So I would still teach myself, and then eventually, started learning about the cycles and stuff. But this is where I really, really learned a lot about crypto, and really started taking trading seriously. And then, eventually, like I said, I was working in TV, wound up having my own business. And once, 2020 happened, my video business was kind of, always trading on the side, always, deeply, self-teaching, like just, I would say, crypto and technical analysis obsessed is probably what I would consider it. Probably an unhealthy obsession. As I know people who watch my channel probably know, I never sleep. I'm in the Discord at 1 a.m. looking at the charts. I'm just a complete nerd. I truly love doing it. So, but during 2020, a lot of my business went away, and I was leaning a lot on trading, and that's really, it was kind of like in between a rock and a hard place. A lot of my money was coming from trading, and that's when I found BitBoy Crypto, and was watching him, would listen to the news all day, just trade. Basically, I'd be day trading and having, Ben's live stream on in the background. Long story short, found out that they were located, in Georgia, which is a place that I have family and I've always wanted to live. So I did a random search. I kind of stalked them. I'm not going to lie. I heard them mention a restaurant in a behind the scenes video. I looked up the restaurant. It was 15 minutes away from my family. And I was like, you know what? I'm taking that as a sign. Let me send a cold email. Mentioned I could help, mentioned obviously my obsession and passion with trading crypto. And then also offered like, hey, if you guys take me in, I can help you guys with a ton of different stuff. Obviously, I'm very knowledgeable about crypto and trading and technical analysis. I also have a background in video production. Obviously, with a giant YouTube channel, I can offer a lot of value there. And then, I started with them, and it was my dream. I was doing like my two passions, video production and, being able to look at the charts and not have to hide it from my boss was amazing. I used to have to hide the charts from my boss. But now they'd be, they high five me when I win trades or whatever it is. And then, when it came time to make our own trading channel, they were like, hey, Frank, like they were, obviously knew that I was obsessed and passionate. I would always talk. I was the guy in the office. I would always be talking about, trading and leverage trading and all this stuff. So they asked me if I wanted to do the channel. Have no experience being on camera or even publicly speaking at all. I was actually one thing I was very nervous about starting the channel, but just jumped right in, went live, and luckily I got blessed, with great people starting off watching my streams, and a lot of the people in my first stream are still watching me today. So that's kind of how it started, and 7 months
That's
in,
what's up, man.
this is history.
I mean, it's a good community, and you found some good people. Where were you living? Like, what state were you in when you decided to move?
I was in New York.
New York. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What part of New York? Like New York City area?
Long Island. So I was about like 40 minutes away from the city.
Still kind of a drastic change, though, being in the part of Georgia that you guys are in now.
Oh yeah. It's it was like kind of culture shock because in New York, people are very hey, I'm walking over here, move out of my way, and like you come
really
down
rude.
Here, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody in the South is cool as hell.
Yeah, they hold the door for me, and I'm looking at them like, why are you holding the door for me?
Yeah,
And
I
they're
was the
looking at
same
me.
way. I'm from the metropolitan DC area up in Northern Virginia, which is very similar to like a New York City vibe. And when I moved down here, it was the same thing. I had more people. I was mowing a lawn like the first week I was down here, and I had more people waving at me driving by than I had ever had living in the neighborhood that I grew up in.
Right. Yeah.
And I was the same way. Like, why are these people being so friendly? Like, thinking that there was something wrong, but
what do you want from
hospitality? Me? Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, it's cool how your story works out, man. Like, how like you get to do multiple things that you love. It's interesting that you were brought on more for the video production side, and then as they wanted to do a crypto trading channel, they brought you into the fold with that. And I mean, damn, dude, since you started your channel, it was started officially January 13th of 2022. So today is the 14th. So that's 9 months ago.
Wow. That's I always go to check that. I was talking to somebody today. They're like, how long have you had your channel? I was like, I think it's been like 7 or 8 months, but I guess it's 9 months then.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know when you put your first video out, but that's when the channel was officially started. I was a procrastinator, so my channel says it was started like in fall of 2017, but my first video didn't come out until early January of 2018.
Right. Yeah,
so there was a
I
lag.
stalled for like a month.
There was a lag because I was really procrastinating. I didn't have. I started out with just a laptop using that camera and microphone, and then started upgrading as I was going along. So, but for your channel, man, I mean, you're really close to hitting 27K, and
yeah, creeping up there.
I mean, I know that being on BitBoy helps because it's even, going on around the blockchain regularly has helped the growth of my channel. But so obviously that helps, which is cool though. I mean, but that again kind of just shows the whole community aspect. I've just had an interview with Sin City Crypto that's going to be coming out tomorrow or Friday, and I do these YouTube spotlight videos where I try to highlight smaller channels, which is essentially what I was wanting to do with you originally, but your fucking channel has been blowing up.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people, anyone in my community knows I don't want to, I was very lucky, obviously, to be at Hit Network and have at least a platform to kind of hey guys, this is what I'm doing, come follow me. So I'm definitely very, very, very blessed to be in that situation. And even more than that, I do feel I'm sure obviously having a channel. You put yourself in the public eye, you put yourself up there for everyone and their grandma to criticize you.
I'm not drinking no bad juice.
No, but yeah, right. But yeah, you get a lot of criticism and stuff, just being online in general. But I do have to say, I'm very, very, I feel very, very lucky to have the community that I do have because, we get our haters, we get our trolls, but, for the most part, like I said, a lot of the people that are very active in my community are people who have been there since day one. And the people in my community like to help each other, which I love seeing. It's like, someone asks the question, and if I don't know the answer, I go get in the Discord and ask one of the community members. And I've had, people, not even a testament to me or anything that I've done, but they say, Frankie, thank you. They also thank me for what I do too, but they say, thank you for making this Discord. I've met so many good people in here who have helped me out so much. And that's my goal, right? I want to build this community, a good community where people can learn. So that's my main goal. Is I'm very community focused because it's not me. Frankie Candles is the guy on camera, but it's really not me. It's the community for sure.
Well, that kind of circles back around to what you were saying earlier about when I was asking you, who are you? I was the one thing that I really got from that, because I was paying attention and listening, is that you care about other people and you really try to help other people in whatever ways that you can. And it shows. And I think it shows a lot with the way that you communicate, not only when you're hosting, because I watched you host today, the BitBoy live stream. So the way you communicate on your live streams, I mean, it just shows, man. And people really, the right people resonate with real people that really are truly looking out for people's best interests. I mean, you know that there are channels out there that are trading based technical analysis channels that I think are more pump and dump oriented. Don't really care about the concern of their viewers as their viewers that they're profiting off of, unfortunately. And I can tell that you're not one of those individuals, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's I never really understood that, because obviously it's when you have things like YouTube, it's easy for creators or people who have influence to take advantage of a community, but I never understood that, because it's quite literally in our best interest to have people win, right? That's why I focus on the community, because if people watching me aren't winning, they're not going to watch me. It's you could try to play the short game and get a quick money grab, but that's the short game. I'm in it for the long term. The more the community wins, the better I would do, is kind of how I attack it.
No, I agree. And as I saw somebody talking in the comments about Bitcoin dumping, and I'm pulling up the price, and it looks like we've broken below 20K again. I've got the coin market cap pulled up. What I will do now is add your chart up to the screen. I think it's about time to figure out what the hell just happened, because I really personally wasn't expecting us to go further down. I actually looked for more upward action towards the end of the week, and then possibly by the weekend or early next week, because of the FOMC, which is the 20th and 21st. And I haven't figured out, I'm not sure if is it on the 20th or 21st that they come out with the actual information about what they're going to be doing with the rate hike?
You know what? I'm actually not 100% sure on the exact day.
I need to look into that, because that's going to play a big factor, because we're looking at next Tuesday to next Wednesday. And then an interesting thing is we're like 14, 12, 13, 10 hours away from the ETH merge.
Yeah.
And if Bitcoin is going down, it's going to be interesting to see how Ethereum is performing. And I didn't even really pay attention. So I'm going to go ahead and shut my mouth and let the boss of the Candle Mafia take over and talk some TNA. And I'm not talking about tits and ass.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And again, Rice, I do appreciate you having me on. This is, I was looking forward to this. Now, so looking at the price, we got to do
this more often anyways. We got to do this maybe even more consistent and regularly if you have the time. So
yeah, absolutely. I would absolutely love that. So just looking at the price here, I guess just because we're getting some movement right now, I'll just zoom into the lower time frames. Now you can see here, I'm actually just going to delete this line right here so we can see a little better. Now, wow.
I want to
All
go
right.
I want to go full screen so everybody can see this a little bit better for a minute.
Beautiful. So, okay. So what we're looking at here, now on my stream last night, I was kind of telling people, I believe I might've put it in the Discord as well. But we've been focusing more recently on my channel, on something called volume profiles. Now, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of exactly what they are. But basically what they do is they analyze volume, right? And they let you know where the most volume was traded or where the key areas of interest are. And more specifically, they give you 3 levels of very important support and resistance. And that is this area here. It's called the value area high. Then you have the point of control and the value area low. And what this does is it gives you a good idea of what range, like what price is going to do in the range it's trading in. So typically when you leave the value area, which is between the value area high and the value area low, when you leave that area, it's very likely that you get sucked back in. And just to make it a little easier for anybody watching, I will highlight the value area in purple. So the value area is between the value area low and the value area high. And more often than not, when you come up out of the value area, it's very likely that if no new volume is created, again, I'm not going to get too into the nitty gritty here, but if there's no new volume being created out of the value area, it's likely you get sucked back down towards that point of control. And the point of control is a strong level, and it acts as a magnet because this is the area where the most volume was traded over that given range. So not that important to understand how they work as much as it is to see how they behave. So when you come out of the value area high, it's likely you get sucked back in towards the POC, which is exactly what we saw happen right here. And obviously price action is messy. It doesn't always just happen. You know, you leave the value area and you go straight to the POC, but a lot of times you'll come down and you'll consolidate, or you might kind of go up and down and kind of range a little bit. But eventually it's likely that you come visit the point of control, which we were talking about yet on last night's stream. And this actually just happened. So, you know, here we are, right? You came out of the value area, likely we come back in to test that point of control, kind of got tripped up here a little bit, but nonetheless, come right back down to touch that point of control, which was actually exactly what we were expecting. Not because, I'm a genius or, just because I use volume profiles, and once you understand them, they're pretty simple to use. And, anybody can do this. You don't have to be a math wizard. I think a lot of people get it twisted. They think all these technical analysts are like math geniuses. I am not a math genius. I just understand how this stuff works. And I think a lot of people overcomplicate it. But another important thing to see here is we were forming somewhat of a bearish pennant. This is a pattern that breaks down more often than it breaks up. So I was actually expecting this to break down. And that's just, the beauty of technical analysis. So right now, it's kind of cool. This is the perfect time to go live, Rice, because we're getting some action here. So right now, really what I am focusing on in the short term, if I was looking at these short-term timeframes, is I would be looking for money flow on Market Cipher B to be coming to the upside for a bounce. We are not seeing that right now. But if we do not find support on this point of control, so typically when you come to the point of control, it will act as strong support. And when you're above this level, it is showing that the bulls are in control. But once you lose this level and potentially you bearishly retest the point of control. Once you're below it decisively and you start, knocking your head, you start staying below here, you can't get back above. It's very likely that you will come back down and visit the value area low, which right now is coming in at about 18,825. So if we lose this point of control, and I'll come down to a lower time frame.
18 what? 18 what?
18,825.
Okay, 18,825.
So if we zoom into the 1 minute, the degen time frame here, you could see we lost it, but now we have hopped back above it, flipped it to support, and now we are getting a little bounce, which is expected at a point of control. But I will be watching this closely because, again, if I'm going to expect this 18,825 level to come in, I would be looking for price to dip below here, bearishly retest. And then once you start, you can't get above this, it's likely you're going to come back down to this, value area low. So that's what I'm looking at, to hopefully, and then more on, a longer time frame here, coming up to the 4 hour, just to give people an idea of a little bit more of a zoomed out look. Right here, obviously, this is a very strong level. If we do not hold this level, I am starting to get a little bit more bearish on Bitcoin. If we could hold this level and get strong market structure, or create this higher low, right? We have a low here and a higher low here. If we can get a bounce here and make this higher low, potentially we could continue to move up, back up towards the value area high. Now, here's the thing. On the daily, we do have some bearish signals popping up on market Cipher B. We have a red dot printing on the daily time frame, which is typically, when they confirm, indicative of a move to the downside, as you can see right here. So with that being said, I would be expecting some shorter term bearish movement for Bitcoin, just based off of this daily red dot, as well as, you do have money flow starting to come out on your 4 hour. Your 3 hour is coming down as well, and your 1 hour has crossed over into the red. So I would be expecting, some short-term bearish movements for Bitcoin. But it's not all doom and gloom, because if we come up to the really high time frames, which I put a lot more weight on, I like to think of the lower time frames as just noise. But if the higher time frames look good, you could dump on the 15-minute, you could dump on the 1 hour, the 2 hour, but if the higher time frames are still looking bullish, that's really what I put weight on. And on the weekly, we can see on market Cipher B, you have a double green dot down here. Now, this signal has called the bottom of the bear markets before. In 2018, we got a double green dot on market Cipher B right here, marked the bottom of the bear market. So it has marked the bottom before, but right here, we're printing a green dot on the weekly, which is a pretty bullish signal. Not only that, but the 6 and the 5 day are also printing these green dots. And if they confirm, it would make me think that in the longer term, we could potentially not make lower lows and continue to, or at least not make lower lows right now, and potentially get some good bullish movement to the upside. So longer time frames right now are printing pretty bullish signals. In the shorter term, looking at the daily, the 1 hour, the 2 hour, the 4 hour, it is looking like we could come down a little bit. And before I wrap up here, I will say this: on the 4 hour time frame, or I'm sorry, not the 4 hour, coming down to the 1 hour, we are currently, you can see that your momentum waves are making, we have a low here and you're making a higher low right here. Now, when you have that happening with your price action making lower lows, which you can see here, you have a low here and a lower low here on price. That's called a bullish divergence. And typically those are, indicative of pretty decent bounces to the upside. And, on top of that, we are also coming down to that key level of support, that point of control. So not only do you have a bullish divergence on the 1 hour, you're also coming down to a key level of support, which could add a little bit of confluence or a little bit of confidence, expecting that bounce to the upside. However, I would expect it to be short term, just because of all the money flow coming out and that daily red dot. So super short term, I would expect at least some sort of a bounce off this point of control. But, potentially we could break it. And if we do, I'm looking down towards 18,825. And I just said I would end.
Well, do you think there's a possibility that we could see that little upside jump before we get the results of what the rate hike is going to be from the FOMC meeting a week from today, or a week from or a week from yesterday?
Yeah, potentially. And with these bearish signals, right, this daily red dot, typically they're indicative of a decent move to the downside, but it doesn't mean we're going to get this massive dump necessarily. But you can see here, just to give you guys an idea, we had this red dot, we had a similar one happen right about here. And then that, this last one that looks very similar brought us down about 11%. So if we were to see something similar like that play out, not that it has to play out exactly the same, but 11%, you can't make it up. It gets you really close to that value area low. So potentially, we could maybe see this one not play out as badly as the previous one. So yeah, I think we could definitely see that bounce maybe up until we get that FOMC meeting. And I'm sure a lot of people watching right now have questions. Just to give everybody an idea of where I sit, sentiment wise, or just more on the macro. I do think that there's a decent chance that 17.5 could have potentially been our market cycle bottom. However, with the macro being very uncertain, it's very hard to feel confident about that, because all it really takes is some negative news, and we can easily lose these lows.
Or a black swan, which, could anything at this point. Because if you think about the market being a camel and the straw breaking the camel's back, there's so much pressure being put on a camel's back. I'm not sure like what specifically is going to break its back, but I feel like we're at that point. If that makes sense, because there's so many different factors coming in. Because here's what I'm not a technical analysis person. I've been in crypto for several years, just been kind of looking at things and sentiment based off what I'm foreseeing with the Federal Reserve, midterm elections, what the other central banks like the ECB are doing, and just kind of looking at the bigger picture of everything. Another thing that I calculated in was, and I've heard this from several different people, but the confirmation came from an interview that I did with Madi Greenspan from Quantum Economics. He lives in Israel. He's Jewish. He's not like so orthodox or practicing necessarily, but he was talking about the end of the Jewish sabbatical year, the Shemitah, which comes up, I think like the 26th or something like that of this month. And he said that and this is like an every 7-year thing that happens, basically. What is occurring during these Shemitahs is you're seeing downward action in financial markets. And this, you can look in 87 with the Black Friday. I believe he mentioned, he kind of fast forwarded through to like 94, 95, I believe. Maybe that wasn't right, but it was 2000, 2001, 2007, 2008, 2014, 2015, 2020, 2021. And generally within like 2 months of the ending of the Jewish sabbatical year, the Shemitah, we find a bottom. Now, considering what the Federal Reserve, what Jerome Powell said at Jackson Hole, and how the CPI numbers came in, and ECB already raising 75 basis points, people are thinking that it's going to be a full basis point going into this. If they continue with that route the following month, I mean, then it makes sense from a cyclical point of view, with even incorporating the Shemitah stuff, that we will see a bottom within the middle of November.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And
then the Fed's going to have to reverse course. Sorry, I wanted to add that in. I do want to look at Ethereum and DXY, but I wanted to add in that the Fed will have to reverse course. Yeah, and then it's off to the races.
I totally agree with that. Listen, it's the question everybody's asking right now is like, are we going to make those lower lows or not? And I could totally see a market. I think a lot of people are very fanatical about no, the bottom's gonna be here, or no, the bottom already happened. I'm very agnostic, if that's the word. I don't get too tied to any idea, because as long as I've been doing this, if there's one thing that I've learned, and I think anybody who's been looking at charts or been in the financial markets, especially crypto, one thing you have to understand is we could have bottomed, but there's definitely a chance that we could make lower lows. Both situations definitely make a lot of sense to me. And what I like to do is look at both cases, build evidence for both sides, and then weigh the probability based off the information, and make decisions based off the probabilities. So So I'm not, I know a lot of people are like, no, we can't bottom in November because 17.5 was the bottom. I think there's a chance 17.5 was the bottom. But again, like you said, with the macro so uncertain, we could easily, like you said, black swan,
Dude,
easily bring us
there's so
down.
much. I mean, people aren't even talking about the implications really of BlackRock and how much money they have, and and basically traditional investors buy when there's blood on the street, and I don't feel like we're quite. I mean, it's bloody,
Yeah.
but I think it could get bloodier, and then obviously we've got geopolitical situations with wars, uh, potential food shortages, all the civil uprising taking place all around the world in different countries. I mean, there's all this uncertainty, and then really like for someone even like yourself, where you want to stay focused on crypto, you have to pay attention to all those other elements because they affect things. Like when I go in and talking with a lot of people like Gareth Soloway, I want to see the DXY chart. I want to see the Ethereum chart first, but I want to see the DXY chart because that's going to indicate to me where cryptocurrency is going. Because if the dollar is getting stronger, then everything else is going to get weaker. It's a seesaw.
Absolutely.
So in everything right now, regardless of what people want to say, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are still very much correlated to the stock market. I don't know when we're going to see that breakaway, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I people love to they are definitely still correlated. People like to argue that. I don't know why. I mean, the charts don't lie. They are definitely correlated. But again, with those black swans, I think people are, 17.5 was 100% the bottom. You're an idiot if you think differently. And like you said, I in my head, I'm just like, all it takes is one black swan. And I like what you said there about blood is in the streets. It feels bloody. It seems bearish, obviously, but just from an emotional standpoint, for me, I'll say that with the bear market in 2018. I just feel like, it's obviously bloody. It's been painful, but I just don't know if I've emotionally felt enough pain. And if I'm using that as an indicator, I just don't know if we've come down enough. And just because I have the chart open here,
well, from a traditional standpoint, I don't mean to interrupt you, but a lot of people who look at the stock market say that we still have a lot lower to go. And if we are correlated, then we still have a lot lower to go.
Yeah, and you know what? That makes sense. That makes sense to me with crypto.
I just try to be as much of a realist as possible, and that's why I encourage people to dollar cost average their way in and out because it's a winning strategy no matter how you go.
100%. Yeah. People love trying to catch the top, trying to catch the bottom. I have people asking me like, I'm waiting for the bottom, to put all my money in. And I'm like, I wouldn't do that because if for some reason we don't get lower lows, you're going to wind up buying on the way back up. And that's not what you want to do. I 100% agree with that. But another reason that if we're going to argue that we are going to get those lower lows, a simple thing is the fact that we are only down about 75% from the all-time high. And in 2013, 2014, in that cycle, we saw about an 86% correction. In 2017, 2018, we saw about an 84% correction, so 2% less than the previous cycle. And in this cycle, if history is any indication, we do have a little bit more to go. And if I had to make just an educated guess of how far we would come down from the all-time high for this cycle, well, 86% to 84%, that's 2% less, right? Maybe we get 2 or 3% less than that 84% correction. And where would that bring us to? It would bring us down about 81, 82%, which coincidentally brings us right into this purple box, which is if we lose this blue level here, which is a 786 Fibonacci level, coming in at about 17,811. If we do come down and break this value area low, that other important level of support we talked about, if we come down and we break that level and we come down to this 786 fib level and we don't get a strong bounce for a potential massive double bottom, If we don't get that bounce and we lose this level, the next major level I'm looking at is this purple box between $14,000 and $12,000. And the way that I get that level is just the technical support right here. We have the
Right.
peak at 14K. I mean, you could just see there's technical support here, and that would be the next likely range. And that 82, 81% correction gets us right into that level. So I would love to see another leg down. If we did see it and we got into this purple box, I'd feel a lot more comfortable about calling the bottom.
No, I agree. And you're hearing a lot more people who actually look at technicals, who take out the emotion, saying somewhere between the 12 and 14. There are people calling for 10-ish in sub 10, but that to me would have to be an extremely terrible situation. And we're probably going to be worrying about a lot more than just that, if that's if because there's going to have to be shit hitting the fan basically for I think for us to go though. But I just want to be a realist. I mean, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I do see us going down lower. But it's interesting now. Can we kind of move on to Ethereum and kind of get a look at, because it doesn't look as if Ethereum is dumping as hard as Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin on coin market cap is down 3.34% in 24 hours, and Ethereum's down 1.53%.
Yeah. So pulling up the ETH chart here. Now, we've seen Ethereum lead the market. We've been talking about this. A lot of people have been talking about this. Ethereum has been leading, Bitcoin on, both the bullish movements, bearish movements. We've seen, any of the, bearish signals that we get, ETH gets them first. And not only has it been leading in, showing signals before Bitcoin, but it's also been most recently, was outperforming Bitcoin. You can see here that we were kind of stuck down in this range when we were having the, absolute apocalyptic dump. We were stuck in this range, and then, Ethereum bounced from the bottom of this wick all the way up, came up over 110%, almost 130%, all the way from wick to wick. Whereas you come back to Bitcoin and you try to make that same move, that same measurement, which would be essentially right here, where you have that big capitulation down, that little sideways range, which is very similar to the ETH range that we just showed. ETH ripped 123%, and Bitcoin from wick to wick only ripped about 42, not even 50%. So just wanted to point that out, because Ethereum is definitely leading and has recently outperformed Bitcoin. Now, with that being said, trying to figure out, are we going down or are we going up? One thing that's obviously very important is, like you said, we do have the ETH merge happening today, where, Ethereum is going to move from proof of work to proof of stake, which I know a lot of people are anticipating, some crazy price action. And for me, I personally, again, I could be wrong, but personally for me, I think it's going to be either a big nothing burger, or it's going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing, where, it's going to happen. Everyone's going to be like, what happened? It's not mooning. They're going to sell. It could cause a little bit of a sell-off. But I would argue that, I would expect either, nothing really to happen, or to have it be a sell the news event. I don't really see that it's going to just go on a massive run based off the merge. Again, I could be wrong, but
okay. Well, a lot of traders say, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news.
Right.
Does the chart show you that there would be this would be a buy the rumor, sell the news situation kind of situation?
Yeah. So so right now, I would say, right, if we come over to the 4-hour chart now, I think a lot of the run up, I think a lot of the reason why we saw Ethereum go on this absolute rip right here, coming up about 120 or 130% off of that low, I think a big reason was because everyone knew that the ETH merge was coming on. So I would argue that this was potentially the excitement of this whole event, right? And then we've seen it kind of cool off and level out. We came down a little bit. Now we're consolidating. But I would say, we did have some massive bearish divergences here on the 4-hour chart as we came up to a local golden pocket. Very similar thing happened to Bitcoin before we got this massive dump. Again, right down to that POC. And looking just at the volume profile here, I will say this. We have, I'll go down to a lower time frame just to zoom in on the price action here. Very similar thing that we just saw happen to Bitcoin. We came from the value area high, dumped straight to the point of control. And then now we have broken the point of control and we are bearishly retesting, banging our head on this level, like I just said, talking about Bitcoin. Now, unless we wind up finding, getting some bullish momentum here to pop over this POC and flip it to support, because we're below this point of control, this tells me that the bears are in control right now. And as long as we remained below this level, I would be expecting a visit to this value area low. So just looking at the charts right now, because we're below the point of control, I would expect a move to this value area low. Granted, I have not looked, we're not looking at the other technicals, other indicators, but just looking at the price action and these 3 key levels, without looking at anything else, I would expect, until we break above this point of control, the next level I'm expecting is that value area low, which is coming in at about $1,500 even.
I wonder if we see that kind of downward action, if we would see that prior to the FOMC meeting, or if it would somehow drag out until then. I guess if it's one of those buy the rumor, sell the news events, it would dump fairly quickly after the actual merge takes place. So we'll see in the next 24 hours or so.
That's right. And again,
that's a beautiful thing.
Right. Yeah, I know. I was saying that on the stream today. I was like, well, good thing is we don't have to wait much longer. And again, like I would say, just looking at some other technicals here, something that could make it not a massive dump is we do have a red dot on the daily similar to Bitcoin. But because ETH has been leading the market, this actually popped up. This has already confirmed. We've already gotten a decent move down, similar to Bitcoin. But the VWAP looks like it wants to kind of turn over here. It's pretty deep below the 0 line. Not saying it can't go lower, but we could round off here and find a little bit of a temporary bottom. So I guess the good news is that this red dot has already been playing out. If this was just a fresh red dot starting to print, I would feel a little bit more bearish. But because it printed yesterday and confirmed, it has played out a decent bit. So we might not see an explosive move. I'm expecting more of just kind of a lackluster response to the ETH merge rather than just a massive dump. I think if we're going to see a massive dump, maybe it pops up, like you said, at the FOMC meeting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And, obviously I'll be tuning into your channel and paying attention to what you have to say about things. And again, if people are watching this that aren't familiar with your channel or aren't already subscribed, I definitely encourage people to head over there and make sure you're subscribed. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you're subscribed as well. I'll actually be on Around the Blockchain tomorrow. I should be on the rest of the month for Fridays. And that'll be 5:00 p.m. Eastern time.
Nice.
So do you mind sharing a little bit of information about the DXY so I can get your perspective on that?
Yeah,
I actually haven't looked at the chart in the past couple days, and so your blues are green, your purples are reds. I love your purple scheme. It's
thank you.
Your color scheme. It's very close to mine.
Yeah,
good color combinations. I got a teal and a purple.
Yeah, the pink and cyan, I love those colors. And this is not why I changed my candle colors, but I did hear somebody explain, I forget who it was. It might have been another YouTuber explaining that I don't know what colors they were using, but they were using, I think they used all gray candles, or maybe it was white and gray. And they said, they're like, I changed my candle colors because it removes the emotion. Because sometimes when you see a massive red candle, it kind of stirs up those emotions a little more. And if you make them different colors, maybe you don't get that emotional response.
Like softening the effect.
Right, exactly.
It makes sense from a psychological standpoint, because red is it's like a dangerous color. You see red, it's like, oh, should I stop? Should I not touch this hot surface? What's going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. I just thought that was so smart. I was like, yeah, I mean, I changed it just because it matched the colors of the colors of my channel. But yeah, it totally makes sense. So
and they're nice, soothing colors. Like it doesn't feel alarming at all. So you're right.
Yeah, nice and calm. But taking a look here, for anybody who's not familiar, the DXY is the US dollar currency index, and basically, this shows the strength of the US dollar against a basket of other currencies. So essentially, really what you need to know really what you need to know here is that typically these move in, the DXY moves inverse of Bitcoin. So when the DXY is ripping, Bitcoin is dipping. When Bitcoin is ripping, the DXY is typically falling. However, looking here, I don't know, my little channel here got moved, but I'm not going to try to fix it right now. I'll just get rid of it. But you can kind of see here, we've been in this ascending channel on the DXY. I'll try to fix it a little bit. But yeah, we've been in this ascending channel for the DXY. And obviously, you come to the bottom, you find support, you come to the top, you get resistance, you come back to the bottom, you come back up, you go back to the bottom, back to the top, back to the bottom, so on and so forth. But zooming in here a little bit, you can see we are coming down to our, let me just move it there. We were on our way down here. So we were expecting a potential bounce on the DXY here, expecting Bitcoin potentially to get that dip. And we did. We lost this level. We hopped back in, grabbed support, lost it again. And then we actually put a bullish divergence, which I know a lot of people argue you can't have a bullish divergence on an index. However, they play out. So when they stop playing out, I'll stop looking at them. But as right now, you see you have lower low right here on your price, as you have a higher low here on your market cipher B, which is a little hard to see. Whoops. A little hard to see here, but you do have a low, and then this low is a slightly higher, or I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. You have your low here and then a much higher low right here. So it's a perfect bullish divergence. And you did get a super steep rip as Bitcoin was, falling, obviously. And we have hopped over this level at about 109.29. And we are currently, looks like we are flipping it to support. So the fact that we actually lost this for a second and came right back into the channel and held support here at 109.29 is looking like we could potentially get a bigger move up for the DXY. And then coming over to the 4 hour, one thing that would be, maybe could save us is you could see that the money flow is coming into the red here on the 4 hour, which would indicate that we could come down. Now, looking at the daily as well, you are generally coming out with the money flow. If you just connect all your highs, you just keep making lower high, showing that your money flow is generally coming out here. So this would also be bullish for Bitcoin, or not bullish, but it would be a little less bearish, because we want the money flow to come out on the DXY. We want the DXY to crash so we can have Bitcoin go up. However, so this would be a generally good thing, that money flow is generally coming out. But you could have a situation like this where you have it coming out and then you come right back up and you continue higher. So take that with a grain of salt. But, generally just looking at the levels here, not really paying too much attention to market cipher B. The fact that we've hopped up and started holding this 109.29 level as support, we could potentially get a continued move up. The next levels I would look for, for some resistance. We obviously have some technical resistance in this area. Obviously, we got rejected right here. So you might get, might get banged around here a little bit with the resistance. But, if we do get this move up here, that could cause a little bit of a dump on crypto. But yeah, as of right now, the fact that we have come up and now we're flipping this to support, I would be feeling a little bit bearish. You also have your money flow coming up on this 1 hour, indicating that we could see this come up. So, it's
one thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry. One thing I like to add for people to be aware of is that the way that the DXY chart is compared, like for it to be like for the comparison for the strength of the DXY, for it to be going up means that other currencies are going down.
Mm-hmm.
So the dollar going down would not only be good for the stock markets, crypto, but it would actually be good for the rest of the world, considering how much inflation that we're dealing with. And it actually impacts our ally nations. And it's hard for me to explain this in words. I've said it in previous conversations, but the strength of the dollar will be the death of the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting thing to think about, because the dollar is just it's ripping. And obviously the more that we raise interest rates, the more that we're going to see the dollar go up, which is why we're seeing that upward action, which is why you're saying that it looks like we could move up a little bit further. And again, if people need to pay attention to this, because if the DXY goes up further, then as you see, it does correlate 100% to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. You're going to, if the dollar's going up, crypto's going down, and the stock market's commodities, everything. Now, I know that you're not like, I heard you and TJ this morning talking about silver and precious metals. I'm still a big proponent of holding both precious metals and cryptocurrencies because of uncertainties of situations. When you look at like the cyber polygon scenarios and the idea of power grid going down, I know we're going to have a lot of problems to worry about, but you can't use crypto. And another thing too is if you really, really look at gold in comparison to all other commodities, it's performed, as far as I know, one of the better hedges against inflation. Meaning that if you want to try to 10x your investment, cryptocurrency is the way. If you've 10x your investment and then you want to take half of that and play with crypto, and then you want to preserve that other 50%, and you want to maintain how much purchasing power that you have, gold would be the route to store it. Gold has proven that through history. So gold and silver is not necessarily to get rich. So when you see silver going up to $100, $500 an ounce potentially, that's going to mean that the dollar is worth jack shit.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because I do think a lot of people do, you know, they compare it to crypto, and it is fun. You know, it's fun to be like, oh, I wouldn't invest in gold. I'd rather get a 20x. And, you know, that's fun when you're talking about it. But you make a really, really good point. You know, they're different things, right?
They serve different purposes. Yes,
absolutely. You know, crypto is a speculative investment. Sure. Could you get those 10x's? Absolutely. But is it way riskier? 100%. And again, like you said, you take your money and maybe you 10x it in crypto, but now how are you going to preserve that money? Precious metals is an amazing place to do that. I think it gets caught up in the context of like the gain potential, right? But I don't even think people should compare them, because like you said, they're totally different things.
Right. And they're both tools to get us away from fiat money and central banks when it comes all the way down to it. So, I mean, I think they serve their purpose. You're a little bit younger than me, and I know you guys have a little bit different of an outlook over there at Hit Network and BitBoy. Sometimes I get reamed on around the blockchain when I mention, sometimes. But now I'm actually hearing more people starting to come around and realize the importance. Because they do serve a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to ask you, I've been interested in, you know, just storing some, you know, like you said, store of value, right? People call Bitcoin a store of value, but gold is the real store of value. I mean, Bitcoin drops 85% sometimes, right? That's not a store of value.
Right. You want something boring that's not volatile.
100%. And I do, I would like to invest in gold. My big thing about investing in gold is it's not my area of expertise. So I'd be very worried about getting ripped off. Maybe we could talk off camera. You can let me know like good, reliable places to get good precious metals. But, you know, it's definitely, I would totally agree with that.
TJ's brother can probably help you out too, though.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I did hear TJ say that he's like really gung-ho on the precious metals end, which, you know, again, I just think that there's a time and a place for both. And I encourage people, and I also mention that too, to shamelessly shill my partnership with Money Metals Exchange, because if somebody's watching this and they do want to get silver or gold and they go over as a first-time buyer to moneymetalsexchange.com, first-time buyer, minimum of $100 purchase, you'll get a free half ounce of silver. So
nice.
So it's definitely, you know, worth looking into. So you could buy like a little over 5 ounces of silver and get a half ounce of silver. They sell a lot of interesting things. They have these things called gold backs, which are actual, they look like notes, like bills, and they're made of a kind of material that's able to maintain a strip of actual gold in the bill. Each bill varies in size because each one has more gold. They look more like artwork, but it could really essentially be used to replace something like the dollar.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I did not know that. Yeah, interesting. We're gonna have to talk. We're gonna have to talk and figure out where I can get some precious metal. But I think people do like to have, they like to poke fun because gold won't 20x or whatever. But here's the thing, if you're prepared for potential problems in the world. What if your electricity goes out? How's your Bitcoin? And again, I'm not hating on Bitcoin, but I'm just saying, like, that's the importance of being diversified. Like, if the internet goes out or we lose power or something, you're not gonna be able to pay with your Bitcoin. But that's where, everybody who has gold,
We'll
that's
take this scenario. You got $10,000. You 10x'd it to $100,000.
Mhm.
You decide that you're going to take that 50,000 of your 100,000 and continue playing in the cryptocurrency markets, because that's how you 10x your money.
Mhm.
That other $50,000, if you put it in the bank a year ago, how much purchasing power did you lose because of inflation?
Right.
That's where I try to make the comparison for gold being that lifeboat, that preserver, that just helps you maintain what you have. That's all.
Right.
So, and I just want, because you got a lot of younger people and a lot of crypto that just have these different outlooks, and I try to throw in as much realism and as much as I'm getting older, so some old man wisdom.
Well, I was just going to say, I would love to have you on my channel, because that's something that we don't typically talk about. And, I do think it's important. So I would love to have you on my channel at some point, and you can educate, my people about gold. Because like I said, we don't really talk about it that much, but, two totally different things. I think a lot of people probably don't even really think about it. They might get into crypto and not really think about gold at all. And then you have this conversation with them and they're like, wow, I should probably get some precious metals.
Well, when you start, so anybody in crypto who's done well, you start looking at what other things that you can do with your money, your capital, other than just crypto. And some people look into real estate. TJ loves real estate. Some people look into artwork and collectibles and things. So there's lots of different things that you can buy to maintain value. That's one of the interesting things about NFTs, and where people are talking about money laundering, is because you could take a piece of art that's worth millions of dollars and fly across the country and give it to somebody, and they can accept that multi-million-dollar piece of artwork as a form of payment. So they've been paid.
Right.
So that's where I think some of the craziness with the NFTs came in, but that's a completely different conversation. I got a little off track, but yeah, dude, I really appreciate your time, and we're definitely going to do this more. I really enjoy your live streams that you do with Debate Crypto when you have other traders on. I like getting multiple perspectives.
Yeah,
for me,
love that.
I like the hyper focus on a conversation. But I may be interested in doing something similar. But I definitely want to get you on the show a little bit more regularly, and I'd love to come on your channel. So just let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I appreciate it, and I also love that getting those extra opinions, because I'm the opposite. I'm very careful about trying not to be in an echo chamber of people who agree with me. So when someone tells me they disagree with me, or I know they disagree with me, I'm most eager to hear what they have to say, because I don't want to argue with you. I mean, yeah, you could debate back and forth, but I want to make sure that, maybe if you disagree with me, I want to make sure you're not seeing something that I don't see. So I think it's important that you said that. It's important to get other, if I don't think we're getting lower lows, and maybe you do, I want to hear why, because I want to make sure I'm not missing anything, or whatever the situation is. So I think it is very important. I love that you said that. It's getting those different points of view. But again, thank you so much for having me on, Rice. I really do appreciate it, and we'll try to get you on my show pretty soon here.
100%, man. So again, everything we talked about is going to be linked down below. Your YouTube channel, your spotlight on hitnetwork.com, your Twitter account, also include your link tree. And I will include my Market Cipher referral link if people want to sign up and support the channel using that, because obviously that's one of the tools you guys use, and a lot of people are using it. Shout out to Crypto Face.
Shout out to Face.
I do appreciate everybody for taking the time to tune in for today's live stream. And if you guys have not smashed that like button, I would greatly appreciate if you guys would take time to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you are subscribed to both of our channels, Frankie Candles on YouTube and Rice TVX. If you could bear with me 1 second, Frankie, just going to wrap up.
For sure.
Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate you. And I'm going to leave you with this, as I'd like to leave you always. I encourage you to be a blessing to others, because it comes back around. Treat people how you want to be treated. Be the change that you want to see in this world. Set that example. Practice change. Much love. Bing bong.